¿Qué está pasando por aquí, cabrones? I'm about to shower, pendejos. I just wanted to come say hi. I still shave my eyebrows, Yuli. I don't know what you're talking about. I still shave my eyebrows. When Julie said, I'm doing makeup today, I said, oh, I can't wait.
Oh my God.
I'm here. Oh my God. My tongue almost fell, pendeja. Oh!
You're showing nipples.
There's a clear video of the guy who pulled out the gun.
See the guy's wife saying, "Oh my God, are you for real?" And to people falling to the floor.
So the killer clown video I did on SinCity Manny has overtaken my Setagaya video for the best performing video on our little channel here, and I was happy to just leave, Manny-wise, where he was at and go back to making my 100 view videos, because there's no way in hell that Manuel Ruiz is ever getting out of this one. Even if he stared directly into a court camera and said, I'm innocent, but what else can you expect from this attention-hungry clown that is Manny? Now, we should never forget that 2 families were utterly destroyed in this tragedy, and in my vid, I said that I don't think Julie should be charged with anything for the simple fact that we don't need to completely destroy the Ruiz family for the sins of their father. And a few, more than just a few, people in the comment section, they didn't like that. They feel that Julie is complicit in these murders, and you know what, that's fine. I respect your opinions. I'm not here to argue that. At this moment, there are no charges or even potential charges against Julie since the incident, at least that we know about, right? And I highly suggest you watch my killer clown video to understand some of the context of this video going on now, if you don't already know. So today we're going to take a look at the history of Julie and Manny and see if we can get a better picture of how complicit she is actually in all of this, really, and if it's enough to condemn a mother and break up further an already broken family. So all I ask is that everybody stay civil, keep an open mind as I present to you this information that I found about Julie, and you know what, you could make your own judgment there afterwards. And don't forget to hit the like button. So who is SinCity Julie? Now, before her name was associated with double homicide, right, and pretty much lambasted online, on Reddit, on forums, comment sections, right, she was just Juliana Pimentel, this regular girl from California. And she grew up in Santa Cruz, but spent most of her days in Salinas. And guess who else was from Salinas? Yes, you guessed it, Manny. Now, Julie, as a child, lived in what was called the salad bowl of the world, right? Because it was just 8 miles from the Pacific Ocean, making it just this suitable land, right? The climate was great for flowers, florals, grape vineyards, and, the vegetable owners had a lot of vegetables. And so basically it was great for farming, and also because it was this nice little community, right? It was like this melting pot of cultures as well. Now, that's where Julie first met Manny, right? She was barely 14, a freshman, still probably getting lost to homeroom, still figuring out where everything was in high school. And Manny, he was already 17 years old, turning 18 and a senior at this same high school. I don't know who hit on who first, considering Manny has always been a bit of a slick talker and a funky walker. We can comfortably assume he made the first move, and it doesn't even matter. And what started as this, crush pretty much turned into something serious quickly. And I'm telling you, it turned into something really serious quickly, because just a year later, Julie was pregnant. She was 15 years old and pregnant. And by the time she was 16 years old, she was raising a son with Manny. But I'll say this, with much respect, they stuck together. And not long after that, they'd have 2 more boys, and their family was growing faster than anybody could have predicted, especially the grandparents. And concerning their children, in this video, we're keeping them out of it altogether, right? Just know they have children, and we'll just leave it at that. That's how they met. And they've been together for 20 years, up to that fateful night in front of the Bellagio. Now, 14 years old, guys. Think about yourself at 14 years old. I personally was mind-numbingly unaware at that age. And if Julie was anything like I was, then I'd say that Manny pretty much shaped her for the majority of her life, which, depending on how you looked at it, it might be negative or even positive, right? The negative would be that he was corrupting this sweet little thing that he found. I mean, 1 year into their relationship, he would turn 18. He was technically a PDF file. An acceptable PDF cutoff point, though, right? Because of how they met. They were both still in the same high school. Anyways, whatever you think about that. So fast forwarding to when they decided to make their lives public, right? So Manny and Julie displayed a lot to their followers in the beginning, right? From the good times to, the inevitable drama that any young couple goes through, any young parents goes through. All of this, they just made public, to their audience, and it made them real, because not everybody wants to see, that perfect couple, right? Not everybody wants to see Angelina and Brad and what they're doing, right? They wanted to see a couple that had cracks, that had disagreements, that we normal folk could relate to. Definitely, we could sense something real between them. They were a real couple. So they would celebrate birthdays, and sometimes you'd catch Manny teasing Julie in a way that husbands do that makes their wife cringe, but at the same time, it brings a smile to their face, right?
Can I rate it?
Yeah, great.
I rate it 3.5. Huh?
Hold on, what? You gave me only 3 points out of 5?
Oh,
Is that what you're saying?
pretty sure.
You like it? I liked it. ¿Y qué más? Oh, ¡delicioso!
Yo creo que 3.1. Okay. You already know it's a 10, boy.
It didn't seem fake in the beginning. If anything, it looked like people who'd been through the ringer together, and you know what, they came out closer for it, and their audience enjoyed watching them. Manny himself, in a lot of ways, was Julie's biggest fan. He'd hype up her cooking channel, which I watched. I watched Julie cook, as research, and I could say that I can almost see that shy 14-year-old girl still in Julie, right? The not so confident person that still needs support, thankful for every message, thankful for the donations. This almost childlike glee about her, an innocence that I guess she never really lost, even though the real adult shit hit the fan so early for her. Manny would jump into Julie's videos now and again, right? And she would sample her latest recipes, and he would just rave about her food, whether it was good or not. As I was watching him eat that stuff, I was just like, even if it was good or not, Manny wasn't gonna call her out for it, right? And it was this kind of support, husband to wife, and that people noticed and they found endearing. There were sort of things that, to their followers just made these two their favorite, right? It was a rare mix of chaos and sweetness, and you could see who's who, and they spent nearly 20 years together, guys, before they actually got married. And we're not here to keep score of that. It's just information, I'm just gonna, give to you so that you could better make your assessment once we're done here. So if you've ever only seen their YouTube highlights, right, of course you'd think that they had no problems in the world, like they were just unbothered by the negativity that they would get sometimes, because they were in their little bubble. They would just go on their family vacations, they did their silly dances. I recall them having a race in a hotel lobby or something, all dressed out in cosplay. And, you know, they were adorable moments, you know, between a couple. And they would share their children on stream as well, you know, for the audience to get to know. And it was like, as they wanted, a little family, right? The SinCity family. But as we all know, you know, what goes up online isn't always the full story. And in Julie's case, what was happening, you know, behind the scenes allegedly was a lot messier than anyone realized, right? And I'll just double back. She was just 14 years old, right? And Manny was pretty much 18 and almost out of high school at the time. And from the things I gathered, Manny was always in charge, which I promise I am not trying to take that information at face value, okay? But from the dynamics that I can see from hours of footage I saw of them, when Manny was in frame, he was front and center running the show. It appeared, right? And Julie, of course, she had her moments. She had her moments of chatter, but otherwise, to me, she just felt like the loyal, I guess, even responsible one in comparison to the character of Manny, right? So I read that she was the one who made sure the bills got paid and the kids got to school on time, you know, the adult here, even if Manny was older than her. So there's Reddit threads, right? And Finney himself saying in a video that claimed Manny was unfaithful to Julie.
I got a couple videos of Manny cheating. I know that's crossing the line, crossing the bro code, but hey, he started it. He crossed the line first.
From what we've heard and what we can tell about Julie, it must have broken her heart if she heard this, if she believed this, or if Manny was able to just, you know, lie his way out of it. From at least my perception of Julie, I think she wanted to believe the lies. I think she wanted to believe that he was being faithful because she wanted to believe her man. Now, with everything that I've just given you about this couple, I just want you to digest everything right now. Take it all in, right? Everything I've told you about the dynamics of these two, just take a little time to think about it. So Manny was the one that always wanted fame. He tried rapping, he tried acting. He is a man that couldn't even walk past a courtroom camera without saying something stupid. And knowing this, I will force feed you my theory about SinCity Julie's culpability. The thing that, you know, is a lot of people are on the fence about, I think. So when things finally fell apart, right, when the shots rang out in front of the Bellagio, Julie screamed and she ran. But after that, someone was able to record her simply walking. No breakdown, no drama. Head down, looking at her phone, just walking. And I'm sure this is where everyone started looking at Julie a bit sideways, because she must have known where those gunshots were coming from and from whose gun it was coming from. But did she not wonder if Finney had a gun? What if it was Manny laying there on the sidewalk, injured or dead instead, right? What happened to the ride or die chick from the past? And this, I'm hearkening back to a Halloween incident where Julie took a stick and was actually hitting Finney's wife Bubbly after Finney's wife kind of was bullying Manny out on the streets. Back to the night of the incident, you know, as the story unravels, people started digging into the timelines, the text messages, and, you know, the overall events of that night. And I'll say Julie's role in it is harder to ignore when you start peeling back the layers, right? And I have to admit that. Because here's the thing, right? When you put the calm walk next to the ride or die behavior that she displayed in the past, it's easy to see where people would get the idea that Julie knew what Manny was going to do, or at the very least, when it did happen, It didn't surprise her much. And like I said, right, she was holding down the family fort as Manny was the chaos. Now, I just want to say here, thinking I'm smart, together they were a controlled chaos, but only together. Now, Julie, in my opinion, decided to fan the flames of Manny's madness that night. Okay, I've said it, okay? Because in my working theory here, through the years, she has taken a lot of abuse. And not from Manny. Well, we'll get to that. But I'm talking about the internet right now, right? Because according to Reddit, they called her Chin City Julie. And if you don't know why they're calling her that, then bless your innocent little soul. What started as digs at Manny, right? The hate stemmed from Manny. It started to shift to his inner circle, right? Anybody that revolved around him. And that was especially Julie, right? It shifted into this cruel personal attacks on her weight, her looks, everything. And the nickname Chin City Julie, it just stuck. And trolls, rivals, streamers, everyone piled on. It was not just a cruel teasing, it was non-stop.
What was, did her stomach hang out further than her booty do? I mean, her so they saying is those B cup titties and A cup front booty, or
Somebody got them.
now I can't stunt. That's how my belly look when I'm sitting there. Hey, but we keep it real around here. We keep it real around here.
Yeah, you're a girdle.
As tough as she tried to be, Julie ended up reducing her chin. So that basically proves that all the hate and negativity, it really got to her. It probably gave her body dysmorphia. And the biggest thorn in both their sides, Finny the Legend and now his wife Bubbly since the Halloween incident. And so the hate was growing in both Julie and Manny's heart. The relentlessness of this cruelty could affect anyone's state of mind, right? Whether it's deserved or not. So Manny doesn't come off as the type that could keep his mouth shut. Oh, shocker, right? You could imagine the earful that Julie must have heard that day as Manny was literally stalking the Finleys as he was driving around Vegas, basically crashing out live on stream. I 100% believe that Julie knew that Manny had a gun. It's probable, it's been said, that Manny always had a gun on him. I mean, his bread and butter was on Fremont Street, and that's a party street where anything could pop off at any second. And I'm sure Manny does not want to be caught lacking, right? So remember, controlled chaos. I think Julie took her hands off the controls a bit that night. She was gonna allow chaos to reign a bit.
Let me catch you at a red light, Finny.
He said that he would kill Finny in the past, catch him at the red light and pop, pop, pop. That's what Manny said. But who really believes those kinds of threats when it's made that publicly? Who could imagine someone being that stupid that Manny clearly is now? Whether she expected Manny to use a gun, before throwing hands is up for debate. And I am telling you, I can't shake the feeling that there was a part of her that was hoping he would use the gun. So I'm sitting outside now where I actually do like to be. This is the following day because I had audio issues when I took it into the editor. Life happens. We don't complain. We just sit down and do it again. Now we just got to sweat a little bit. Okay, so in my working theory about Julie and Manny's relationship at this point is that I think Julie was just mentally done with Manny, okay? Because how did they begin, right? It was puppy love, and it turned serious real quick. Life hit them really fast, and it kept them together, and it made them strong. They continued to build this beautiful family, and they were raising them to the best of their abilities, this beautiful life. But now, I believe things have turned a bit toxic in this marriage. And if you remember from the previous video, right, Manny wasn't always so brash. He wasn't always so full of himself. He was probably this bubbly, lovable guy at some point. I wouldn't know anything about that because I didn't watch his streams from the past. They've all been deleted at this point. But from comment sections in the previous video, we get a glimpse that Manny was a very likable person. Hey, that's what drew people to him, right? Obviously. But then he started to, morph into Manny-wise. Basically, the makeup, the sun. The man just never was anywhere without sunglasses. I remember trying to find pictures of him from the first video. I could not find one solitary picture of this man with glasses. He could have been cockeyed. He could have been anything under those glasses. And it was just impossible until he went to court. And even some court, they allowed him to wear glasses. I just won't get into that. But anyways, there were tons of people in the comment section that said that he had changed to a point where he was just, to them, unwatchable, right? They just couldn't watch him anymore. And this came from the little bit of fame he got from his streams on Fremont Street. He's a D-lister in his own community, ladies and gentlemen, and he let that get into his head. And eventually, he wasn't the Manny that Julie loved anymore. Okay, this is what I suspect. He had become, more and more controlling, maybe more and more disrespectful to her. And I did hear a story from that first video, and I forgot to put it in, and I forgot what source I got it from, but regardless, it was a story about one of their sons, okay? The kid had to protect his mom from Manny, okay? So Manny was in one of his manic moods or whatnot, and he was probably being a little bit abusive. Now, would I believe that Manny could be psychologically and physically abusive? Well, of course, yes. I would expect these kinds of things from a man that can end two people on a crowded Vegas strip, right? That doesn't sound like something, far-fetched at this point. So we could also see from that, he was probably unbearable at home, right? Especially to Julie. Their children having to protect Julie from Manny, that cannot be a one-off incident, right? I would believe that the whole Ruiz family were walking on eggshells when Manny was around, especially Julie. I mean, for Julie, he was the first man that she was the only man she was with since she was 14 years old. Now, if the relationship had gone sour, if she knew that Manny was unfaithful, I would suspect that, a little thought would start to creep in any woman's head. How it would be like to be with someone who wasn't like that, who wasn't doing that to them. So, on the night of the tragedy, did Julie release a monster to see what it would do? And I think yes. I think she did. But I still don't think she should be culpable for it because he's a grown-ass man. Nobody made him do it. He did it. He's the one that should go to jail. And in this theory, she was locked in this toxic marriage, scared to leave him because, she knows what he's capable of. Then I would say, yes, I can see where she might have prayed for his downfall. To what extent, we'll probably never know. But at least maybe she just gets a little vacation from him if he were to attack Finney that night and go to jail for a few nights. Then, yeah, maybe that's what she expected. I really doubt that she expected Manny to do what he did. Now, the big problem for a lot of people is the fact that two people lost their lives because of it. Because she didn't prevent it. And a lot of people believe that she knew exactly what he was going to do, which I don't subscribe to, because she had her live stream on when this was going down, and I don't think she would have that live stream on if those two were plotting a double murder that night. I think she would have just left it off, because as we can see, she screamed in the beginning when she heard the gunshots, right? And she said something to the effects of, "What the fuck?" And she just started to run and run. And why do all that? because eventually she would go and delete that stream. Why do all that? It makes more sense that she didn't know to what extent he would do that, you know, and it's more believable that she knew he was going to do something like fight or something, maybe poke Finney in the butt again. The more I think about it, it actually kind of explains her demeanor as well, I think, when she's, you know, walking calmly there at the end looking at her phone. She might be deleting that video that she just made, right? That live stream, because that live stream would be deleted. But of course, anything on the internet, even if you deleted, somebody out there had already screen captured the whole shit. In my opinion, she knew where those gunshots were coming from. She just didn't expect it. But somewhere in the recesses of her mind, hey, it's a very weird way to escape a toxic marriage, but, you know, she's out of it, isn't she? And look, I get that Manny and Julie both left their house that night with a purpose, right? I mean, they weren't just out for a coincidental stroll in front of the Bellagio, where just so happens Finney and his wife Bubbly were there as well, right? This definitely was targeted, you know, and no one could say otherwise, I don't think. Manny and Julie, they went to multiple locations, right? They jumped from stream to stream trying to track Finney and Bubbly down. Manny, most likely, just crashing out the whole way, and Julie was right there with him. They even stopped at different places looking for the Finleys before they finally found them. So, what did she think would happen when Manny finally found them? The question out there is, are we really supposed to believe that Julie never once asked Manny, hey, what are you gonna do when we finally find them? I think that conversation was had, but do you think Manny would tell her this is his wife that he had tatted on his neck? He was just as down for Julie as Julie was down for him. I really do think that in Manny's head, that if he was gonna fuck up this bad, he was not going to bring the mother of his children down with him. Let's just say the Finleys and the Ruizes, both parties were not innocent in this creation of the bad blood, right? I think we could all agree on that. If you told me that, you know, Finney the legend, he took it too far, I wouldn't disagree with you. If you told me that Manny jumped up and punched Finney right in the nose, I probably would say it was warranted at this point. Just let the two duke it out, get it out of their systems. That's what should have happened, right? And I'm pretty sure that Manny is sitting there rotting in jail right now, awaiting his life sentence, regretting the way he went about things. But a crash out is a crash out. You know, Manny was running on pure demon time, and he's a coward. He brought a gun to what should have been a fist fight. I mean, this man, he's leaving his children behind. He's leaving his family behind, which he claimed to love so much. And all this for a moment of bravado. Doesn't it sound incredibly stupid? He left his wife out here with some ruthless internet people that want her to rot in prison just as he will do. And I'm almost positive I have not changed anybody's mind if you came into this hating Julie in the first place. You're probably just waiting for your chance to rip her down some more, okay? So we'll just leave it at that. And hopefully the people that were, you know, on the fence about Julie, you know, now you have more information to make a more educated opinion about whether or not she was culpable in this situation or not. You guys know where I stand. And all I ask is you respect my opinion as I will respect yours. And now, hey, just go out there and, you know, protect the ones that you love. And don't forget to love the ones that protect you.